I almost thought I'd taken a wrong turn when I pulled into Bayshore Marina that Saturday morning. Sitting crooked across my assigned slip, like someone had tried to wedge a cruise ship into a compact space, was a spotless white yacht that had to be at least 60 feet long. My own boat, a humble 24-foot fishing vessel named Sea Breeze, floated off to the side, awkwardly tied to a temporary cleat like it had been evicted. On the yacht's deck, a woman reclined in a cushioned lounger, wearing oversized designer sunglasses, casually sipping something that looked a lot like a mimosa. She lifted her hand and waved, diamond tennis bracelet catching the sunlight. "Oh, you must be the owner of that little fishing boat," she called out, her voice coated in syrupy politeness. "Don't worry. I've already cleared this with the proper authorities. I can dock wherever I want." I just stood there, stunned. "Excuse me? This is my slip. I pay for it. There's literally a sign with my name on it." I pointed straight at the faded placard bolted to the dock. Slip 47, reserved for Johnson. She laughed, a light, tinkling sound that instantly made my temples throb. "Oh, honey," she cooed. "Didn't you get the memo? The HOA updated its policies on community resource allocation. Premium vessels get priority access." Then she took another leisurely sip, clearly savoring my disbelief. Seething, I pulled out my phone and called the marina office. Pete, the marina manager, answered on the third ring. "Yeah, I know about it," he said before I even finished explaining. "That's Patricia Harrington. She's the new HOA president. She showed me some official-looking paperwork and said it was all approved. To understand why that hit a nerve, you need some background. I'd owned Slip 47 for 8 years. It came bundled with my house in the Sunset Hills subdivision as part of the waterfront property package. Every weekend, I took Sea Breeze out to fish. Nothing fancy, just quiet mornings that washed away the work week. Patricia, however, was now waving around something she called Section 17, subsection C. Community amenities may be temporarily reallocated for the benefit of residents contributing to neighborhood excellence. She flipped open a folder and handed me a notarized-looking letter, granting herself priority access to any community feature she deemed necessary for HOA business. "I'm hosting a very important fundraiser tomorrow," she added. "Potential investors for the new security gate everyone wants." The letter was full of vague legal jargon meant to intimidate, but it was meaningless. Still, Pete had seen it and didn't want conflict. "She threatened to have the HOA pull our commercial license," he whispered when I cornered him later. "My hands are tied." Patricia just smiled. "Maybe it's time you upgrade from that little fishing boat," she said. "Something more appropriate for our community." That did it. I spent the rest of the day researching. Patricia might have bullied the HOA into compliance, but maritime law played by very different rules. And while the marina was leased to homeowners, it was still governed by state and federal regulations. After what felt like dozens of phone calls, I finally struck gold. A friend of mine who worked at the harbor master's office explained that any vessel over 50 feet required special permits to dock at our marina. On top of that, if the boat was being used for commercial purposes, like hosting a fundraiser, it triggered an entirely different level of regulatory scrutiny. But the real breakthrough came when I called the Coast Guard's non-emergency line. The officer on the other end suddenly sounded very interested. "Can you give me the yacht's name and registration number?" he asked. I walked back down to the dock and took photos from every angle. Patricia's Paradise was painted in elegant gold lettering on the stern, but the registration numbers caught my eye. They looked like cheap stickers. Less than an hour later, the officer called me back, and his tone had changed completely. "Mr. Johnson, we're very interested in this vessel. Our records show serious discrepancies. We'll be conducting an inspection tomorrow morning." I didn't tell anyone. That night, Patricia hosted a full-blown party on my slip. Music thumping, string lights glowing, champagne flowing like water. I stayed home and let her enjoy every minute of it. The next morning, I showed up early with coffee in one hand and folding chairs set up on the dock. I wasn't missing this. Right at 9 a.m., 2 Coast Guard vessels glided into the marina, their orange and white hulls unmistakable. They headed straight for Patricia's yacht. She stood on deck dressed like she stepped out of a luxury catalog, waving enthusiastically as if they were part of the entertainment. Her smile vanished when 4 uniformed officers boarded without a greeting. "Ma'am," the lead officer said calmly, "we need to see your vessel documentation, registration, and operator's license." Patricia's voice shot up instantly. "Excuse me? I'm the HOA president. This is private property." The officer didn't flinch. "Actually, ma'am, this marina falls under federal maritime jurisdiction. Your vessel has been reported as improperly documented and is creating a navigational hazard." She rushed below deck and returned with her paperwork, but the officers were unimpressed. They radioed in numbers, snapped photos, and compared records while a crowd gathered along the docks. Then the bomb dropped. "These registration documents are fraudulent," the officer announced. "This vessel is not properly registered with the state or the Coast Guard. It exceeds a maximum length for this slip by 15 feet. He paused before delivering the final blow. "And this yacht was reported stolen from a Jacksonville marina 3 months ago." The crowd gasped. Patricia went pale. No, that's impossible. I bought it from a reputable dealer." The officers didn't budge. "We're impounding the vessel. And, ma'am, you'll need to come with us." Chaos erupted. Patricia screamed about discrimination, lawsuits, jealous neighbors. Anything she could think of. Someone nearby was live-streaming the entire meltdown. Her polished image shattered in real time. It took nearly 2 hours to remove the yacht. The tow crew worked carefully and methodically, completely unfazed by her protests. When it was finally over, Pete approached me looking embarrassed. "Mr. Johnson, I'm really sorry. Your slip is ready for sea breeze whenever you want. I brought my boat back that afternoon and tied her up in slip 47, exactly where she belonged." The fallout was swift. Patricia had purchased a yacht through a shady online dealer, paid cash, and accepted fake paperwork without question. Within a week, she was facing multiple criminal charges: possession of stolen property valued over $500,000, operating an unregistered vessel, falsifying documents, and more. An emergency HOA meeting was held that Thursday. Standing room only. Patricia's seat sat empty, like a symbol of her collapse. The vote to accept her resignation was unanimous. So it was a vote to repeal every policy she'd pushed through. 2 days later, a for sale sign appeared on her lawn, priced well below market. Legal bills will do that. The following weekend, Pete handed me an envelope. "A year of free slip rental," he said, "and credit toward a larger one if you ever upgrade. Just a small thank you for standing up to a bully." 3 weeks later, word spread that Patricia had accepted a plea deal. 5 years in federal prison, 3 years probation, and more than $200,000 in fines. Someone who attended the sentencing said she cried while insisting she was a victim of jealous neighbors and biased institutions. As for me, I just sipped my coffee, looked out at sea breeze, and smiled. Musical notes.